What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to the Justin Diedrich channel, and we are returning with another mock draft video, the first mock draft of the month of October, and the second one for the 2025 cycle. We will have more mock drafts continuing as the draft cycle continues to get closer and closer to the NFL draft, but this is just number 2, and quite a few changes in the draft order since the last time. Of course, we'll go through again a lot of changes in what teams might potentially need as well. So we'll get started here with the New England Patriots. They're on the clock with number 1. Drake May is taking over as the starting quarterback, and he's played pretty well for them so far. I like what he's been doing, and I think they're going to try to surround him with some more talent, right? What do they need? A wide receiver. So I think you're looking at Teteroy McMillan, Travis Hunter is that 1 and 2. Why not take a guy who can play on both sides of the ball? I think that's a very Jerome Mayo thing to do. Let's go with Travis Hunter at the number 1 overall draft pick. Of course, he's very talented at both corner and wide receiver. I think he projects a little bit better as an NFL corner, but I don't think there's any harm in playing him, a certain number of snaps, a limited snap count on offense at wide receiver. We could at least get a talented wide receiver for some plays, or if you want to play him full-time, both the ball. If you think he can do that, you get a talented wide receiver there for Drake May. On the clock at number 2, the Panthers. I think they're not going to give up on Bryce Young just yet. So where does that leave them to go? Well, you need talent. You just need talent. I think this is probably best player available for them. Maybe you try to get some blocking for Bryce Young. But there really isn't. I mean, are you going to take Will Campbell? You have Ike Mekwonu. Probably go. You badly need help in the secondary. Let's go Will Johnson in this one. They badly need help in the secondary, and I know you're not getting any offensive talent here to help Bryce Young, but you have later in the draft as well. Of course, we're only doing the first round in this one, but you've got later in the draft as well as free agency to find some more talent to surround Bryce Young with, but at the moment, you just need to take the best player available, and in my opinion, I think that is Will Johnson at pick 2. At number 3, the Cleveland Browns. They desperately need a quarterback. Of course, Deshaun Watson went out with a torn Achilles. He is done for the season and could be done for his career. His contract is ridiculous, and he was not playing good football at all. We're going to give him a quarterback here. And I think you're looking between these two here, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. In my personal opinion, Cam Ward is QB1. You guys know, if you've been watching for a long time, how big of a Cameron Ward fan I am. We're going to give him to the Browns here at number 3. I have been on the Cam Ward hype train since literally he transferred to Washington State. Before anyone even knew who he was, I've been on the Cam Ward hype train. I have never been more sure about an NFL prospect. Cam Ward is just ridiculously good. Of course, no prospect is perfect. He's got things to work on, right? But I see the vision there, and I think Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, Ward is exactly what the Browns need to bring life back to the city of Cleveland, and specifically Cleveland Browns football. Electric arm, great playmaker out of the construct of the play, incredible accuracy. Of course, he plays hero ball, makes some really dumb decisions at times, which, of course, he's worked on, and there's been less of those bad decisions this year at Miami than there was at Washington State, but still something he needs to fix. Very calm in the pocket. Ward's an incredible prospect. And then we look at 4, and I think we're going to have back-to-back quarterbacks go up because I think the Titans know that Will Levis isn't the real deal at this point. Shedeur Sanders is on the board, and if you can't get Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders is a great consolation prize. He's played really good football this year. He's really starting to solidify himself. Of course, the downfield accuracy is really good. He has a strong arm, quite athletic guy. I think one of the issues with him is he holds the ball way too long. He's not quick to make decisions at times, which could be part of the offense and part of Shedeur. But he's a very talented prospect, and I think the Titans will be lucky to get him at 4 and to replace Will Levis. At pick 5, the Jets, they traded for Davante Adams. There's talk about Garrett Wilson could be on the move. There's talk about Mike Williams could be on the move. The Jets are just dysfunctional. Can I say that? They're fully dysfunctional. So what do? Do you prepare for life after Aaron Rodgers? Do you go at quarterback? Do you go best player available? I mean, what do? I think at this point for the Jets, they went offensive line last year with Olu Fashanu. You could do that again. You could go for another weapon. You could go for edge help. God, they're tough to pick for here if I'm not going to go quarterback. But I think I'm just going to go best player available for the Jets, and I'm going to take Mason Graham off the board at this point. I think he's by far the best defensive lineman, probably the best front 7 player in the draft. I think Will Johnson is probably the best defensive player and the best secondary player. Mason Graham, the best front 7 player. Really strong, really productive from Michigan. Of course, he's a threat. He's a force to be reckoned with. I think the Jets just need to beef up on that defensive line a little bit more. Then we get to the New Orleans Saints here, and what do the Saints do? Their receiving core is a mess. Derek Carr started the year good and then tailed off. Spencer Rattler's probably not it. Jake Hayner's probably not it. Dennis Allen probably isn't it. Your offensive line is a little shaky, of course, because you have injuries to Ryan Ramczyk and Eric McCoy, and is Trevor Penning really it? And Cesar Ruiz, I'm pretty sure, has been hurt for a little bit. So they're in a tough spot, but you look at this team, the receiver depth has been awful this year, and of course, when Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are out with injuries, you have no one else to throw the football to. I mean, Bub Means is out there catching passes, and I like Bub Means, but you need a real wide receiver one, and I don't think Chris Olave is a real wide receiver one. I think he's a great wide receiver two, one of the best twos in the entire league. But he's currently their one, and I think they need to draft someone who can be their future one. I think that's Tedoroy McMillan. Huge, strong hands, good route runner. He is that stereotypical wide receiver one, X-type guy that the Saints could use on the outside. The Jaguars here at pick 7, this is very easy for me. Let's go Will Campbell. They need to protect Trevor Lawrence. You paid him a big contract, and he hasn't played great, but you really need to solidify that offensive line. I think Will Campbell is the best tackle in the draft. He's very tall. The biggest concern about him is the arm length, right? He's got a little bit shorter arm length than you would like to be out there and tackle, and now some people are projecting him to move inside to guard. I personally don't see it with him moving inside to guard. I think he's good enough to stick at tackle. The footwork is incredible. The intangibles. I mean, he plays with great leverage, pad height. He's got everything there besides for the arm length. So I think you're okay with that. And you can put him at there at left tackle. I think he'll play right tackle if you wanted to. You can put him out there at left tackle and protect Trevor Lawrence. The Raiders at 8, this is an easy quarterback spot. My question is, who goes at pick number 8? You know, there's guys we can look at. Is Jalen Milroe going to rise that much? But he's played really bad ever since that Georgia game, and he's really working his way out of the conversation. Is Quinn Ewers there? Is he the guy? He's played not great since coming back from injury either. Can Drew Aller continue to rise up the boards? Is Dylan Gabriel a guy? We know DJU isn't a guy. You know, who is going to go? Is Garrett Nussmeier legit? Is Carson Beck going to pick up his play? My issue at this spot is that I just don't know if any of these guys are worth going this high outside of those top 2 with Ward and Shadur. And then you look a little farther, and I don't want to look ahead, right? You don't do that with a mock draft. But the Giants in the next pick also need a quarterback badly. And if there's no one worth going at 8 to the Raiders, there's no one worth going at 9 to the Giants. And that leaves these two teams both kind of stuck in the same position because they need to move on. They need new quarterbacks. But that leaves them with probably trying to find an option that's already in the league. Free agent, a trade. And I think the Giants are more likely to go free agent or trade route than the Raiders. And I think the Raiders are more likely to go developmental route, which of course I talked about these guys not being worthy to be taken at this spot. But we know Quinn Ewers has been a good quarterback in the past, and he's just getting back from injury. I think that is the root of his problems right now. I think he's going to be a productive NFL quarterback. Currently, I have a 3rd-round grade on him, which you might think that's way too low. He's a first-round guy. The grade isn't projection. I mean, I hope you guys understand that. Quarterbacks who are graded 3rd round typically will go in the 1st, just because quarterback's a more highly rated position. It's not a bad thing to be graded in the 3rd. I have Quinn as a 3rd-round grade, early 3rd. I do think he could be deserving to be top 15, even though I know the 3rd-round grade, quarterback's more projected or more valuable position. I think he's a very, very good player. Obviously a strong arm. We know that, can zip the ball. He started making quicker decisions. I think he's reading defense as well. He just needs to work his way back from injury, and I think he will be the 3rd quarterback off the board. And the Giants, like I said, I don't think it's wise for them to go quarterback here. I know they need one badly. You need to move on from Daniel Jones. But are you going to take Nussmeier here? Are you going to take Milroe? I think the Giants are a perfect candidate for a trade down because I think you can justify taking Garrett Nussmeier or Jalen Milroe in the 20s. Maybe you trade down to a team trying to move up to get a guy like Luther Burden or Ashton Jeanty still on the board. But at this spot, and we're not doing trades, I just don't see it. And the Giants need offense. And if you're not going to get it through the quarterback, you might as well get it through the running back. Replace Saquon Barkley with Ashton Jeanty. His contact balance is ridiculous. The speed, the vision. He's tough to tackle. He's a mean runner. The legs keep churning. GT is he's the best running back prospect I've ever watched. I've been covering the draft since 2019, so it's not that long. Guys, I'm young, but he's the best running back prospect I've watched personally. And I do think he's a top 10 pick, and you don't see running backs being taken that high often. The last one was Bijan Robinson, but he is incredible. The Giants need just offensive production in any way possible, and GT can give that to them. On the clock here is the Dolphins. They've had offensive line struggles. They have quarterback listed as a need, although I think Tua's going to continue to be the stick guy there. But I think we are going to look at the offensive line, and I think Kelvin Banks Jr. makes sense at tackle. They need to get younger at tackle, and they need to get better at tackle. And Kelvin Banks Jr., there's no one better. I think him and Will Campbell have a very conversation for tackle 1. I think it's honestly a 1A and a 1B at this point. You could choose either one of them to be your 1, and I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked. Banks has really solidified himself as a first-round guy and a top 10 guy this year at Texas. He's been very productive, very good, not giving up pressures, not giving up sacks. He's been a rock solid, and I think that's what you look for. Of course, you want them to be, separate themselves ahead of everyone else, right? But you're not mad if someone's just solid. They're just not giving anything up. They're not making the mistakes. That's Kelvin Banks to me. The Rams at number 11, they could also use tackle. I think they could also use quarterback potentially. Again, there's a lot of teams in the NFL that need a quarterback right now. I think they could definitely use wide receiver. There's talks about Cooper Kupp potentially getting traded, and Puka Nacua has been hurt. Running back, I don't think is an option for them. You continue to go defense. You could maybe build through the secondary. Let's take a look at their options. I don't think Malachi Starks goes at this spot. I think Kenneth Grant is certainly an option. I think Luther Burden is certainly an option. You took Jared Verse last year, but you can never have more edge help. Nick Scorton. Benjamin Morrison unfortunately got hurt. I don't think he's going to go this high into the draft because of that, but I still think he's a first-round talent. Cam Williams has been exceptional at Texas this year. I really like Ariante Essery. But I'm gonna reach down the board a little bit, and I'm gonna go edge, but I'm not gonna go with Nick Scorton or Mykel Williams. Where is Jalon Walker? They have him listed at linebacker, don't they? They have him listed at linebacker. They do. I'm gonna go with Jalon Walker. He has fully pushed himself into these top 20, top 15 conversations here at Georgia. Really, really fast, plays fast and instinctual on tape. Just super productive player for Georgia. Very solid. Like I said, instinctual. He has those intangibles. You can't really teach the instincts. He has it. Of course, an athletic freak. He's going to be able to be molded into a great player there for the Rams. Then we get to the Cardinals. This is an easy offensive tackle spot for me, and this is going to be Cam Williams. He's played really good for Texas here on the opposite side of Kelvin Banks Jr. Again, just another big guy. We can take a look at the measurements here if they show them to me. I don't pay for the premium. 6'5", 335 junior. Just another big guy who's solid, good footwork. He plays a little heavy at times on his feet, which could be an issue, but I think that's easily coachable, and I think Williams is going to be a very good very good tackle. Wide receivers on my mind because we have the Bengals up next. And where do they potentially look, right? Their defense has been horrid, and I mean horrid. Their offensive line, well, I guess in past weeks it's been very good, but their defensive line specifically has been horrid. Their offensive line still need help. If T. Higgins is potentially gone, I do think you definitely need wide receiver help. But I do think you're going to look to beef up that defensive line, and we're going to take a look and see who's here. But the name that really sticks out to you is Kenneth Grant, and we're going to go with Kenneth Grant here out of Michigan. Again, another guy right on the other side of Mason Graham who's just incredibly productive. Another big guy. I mean, again, I don't have the stats on me. 6'3", 339 is ridiculous. 6'3", a little bit short, but 339 is ridiculous. He makes up for it with a lot of bursts off the line and just a lot of finesse in his play. He's a very good run stopper and out for some pass rush juice as well. At 14, the 49ers, this is an easy offensive line spot for me. However, you're probably looking more for an offensive lineman or an offensive tackle who can move inside. Right, you're probably looking more for someone who can move onto the inside or play tackle with some versatility. And to me, you're looking at Emory Jones Jr. here. And whenever I say Emory Jones, it brings back flashbacks of the Cincinnati Bearcats season last year. But this Emory Jones on the other side plays right tackle for the LSU Tigers. on the opposite side of Will Campbell. Again, another guy who probably projects better as a guard due to a little bit of height concerns. Not like you're not worried about the height. My apologies. The arm length. He could project to slide in the guard. I think he came in recruited as a guard and put the tackle. A little bit light, 315 for 6'6", but the arm length is your concern there. Everything else is solid. He's not giving up pressures. He's mauler in the run game. Very, very solid in pass pro. He gets beat by a little bit faster rushers, which is why I think coming around the edge, he's more suited to go in guard because there's a lot shorter arms. Not going to allow you to kind of get that reach around the edge. At 15, the Dallas Cowboys think they would have loved if Ash and GT was still on the board. I think they would have loved it. But Ash and GT went before them, and I don't think you're looking at any of these running backs in the first round. Where do you go from here? You probably go... Listen, I know you have CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Tolbert. Just why not get Dak Prescott more weapons? I mean, there's guys here like Isaiah Bond and Luther Burden. Let's go Luther Burden here. He hasn't had the most productive of seasons this year, but also Missouri's offense hasn't been very good. I don't really think that those struggles are on him. He's played well this year. Again, a very, very twitchy and fast route runner. No wasted movement on the routes. Fluid movements, what you want to see for a pure route runner. Good hands. Very tough to tackle after the catch because he's going to offer a lot of yards after catch. I really like Luther Burden as a slot guy. I think he's going to offer value with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott in that offense. The Denver Broncos. I don't agree that wide receivers are top need. They've invested a little bit. I know you have Troy Franklin over there and Cortland Sutton. But I do think tight end can be an option. And I don't necessarily think that wide receiver is a need, but I think a pass catcher specifically. And for me, this is going to be... You guys are going to think I'm crazy. But I'm going Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. He's ridiculous. He's so good. If you have not watched Harold Fannin Jr. this year, I beg you, please watch Harold Fannin. An incredibly fluid and smooth runner for a tight end. Great after the catch. Strong hands. He's ridiculous. I mean, he took in the Akron game they played a few weeks ago a jet sweep over 50 yards to the house. You don't see tight ends doing that. Fannin is ridiculous. A little bit undersized, a little bit short for a tight end. At only 6'4", 230. I mean, very short and light. Undersized for a tight end, that's for sure. He's going to run well. He plays stronger. He plays bigger on tape. And he offers a lot in the blocking game as well. He's a very good blocking tight end. You're getting the full package with Harold Fannin Jr. at tight end. I think he's a future NFL star, and I think Sean Payton would love to have him in that offense. The Falcons at 17, this is an easy defensive player spot. Go with the best defensive player available. And in my opinion, that at this spot is Nick Scorton from Texas A&M. You can never go wrong with more edge help. The Falcons continue to build up on that edge. You just need to do it. They've really struggled on the defensive line a lot in recent years. Scorton's going to come in with immediate edge pressure there and immediate juice off the edge and continue to get quarterback pressure because that's ultimately what stops other offenses. The Eagles at 18, we know they love to go defensive line and offensive line. They love the trenches. But I do think those are the needs for the Eagles specifically. But the question is, do they just ignore those other needs and continue to go with what they know? And I think that's probably what they do. Let's look at the edge here. I'm not a huge fan of LT Overton, actually. I love Abdul Carter. James Pierce Jr. has really worked his way back up, and I think that's probably where I'm going to go. A very speedy and like athletic freak of an edge rusher, 6'5", 243, a little bit light for the position. He can bulk up. 6'5" is great height for that. Again, athletic freak. He's going to come off the edge with a lot of speed, a lot of juice, a lot of bend. His issue is really he doesn't have a pass rush plan, and he can kind of get thrown off pretty easily because he is light. He's someone that you definitely need to mold. He's a project. It reminds me a little bit of Gregory Rousseau not too long ago for the Buffalo Bills. You're taking an athlete who you're going to mold into an edge rusher. That's pretty much what you're doing with James Pierce Jr. At 19, the Seattle Seahawks. This is probably best defensive player available, and I think the Seahawks would love to have a player as good as Malachi Starks just to mess around with and mold. You could line Starks up at a bunch of different spots on the field. Of course, he's 6'1", 205. I think he's played strong enough on tape to be able to play some nickel. and move in, play some linebacker in certain sets, certain packages. Of course, he's primarily a safety, but he can play all over the field. He can be that kind of star back for you. And I think Starks would fit well in that Seattle defense. At 20, we have the Indianapolis Colts. This is a cornerback for me. I really think just more help on the back end is what's needed for them. This isn't the strongest cornerback class. Denzel Burke got kind of toasted against Oregon. Benjamin Morrison, he went down with that injury. I think that's going to cause him to fall a little bit, but I think if he was there at the Colts for 20, they'd have to seriously consider him, and I think he's going to go. A guy who's really rock solid in zone coverage, great instinctual skills, 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's a very good cover corner, right? He's a very good cover corner. They can get beat in the run game at times. He's not the strongest tackler, but he's a very good cover corner. You can work on the other stuff. At 21, we got not the San Diego Chargers. Oh my. The Los Angeles Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. They've been playing good football this year. I think this is a pretty easy pick for me. They need another pass catcher, and Colston Loveland's on the board, the tight end out of Michigan. Jim Harbaugh gets to reunite with his former player at Michigan, former Wolverine. Loveland's a very productive tight end. He's got the full package. Great receiver, great blocker, and I think we know Jim Harbaugh loves to use his tight ends from his time at Michigan. He would love to have the opportunity to get one of his former guys there to add into his offense. At 22, the Buccaneers. This is pretty easily like a secondary spot for me. But then you're looking at the guys, like, is any of these guys really willing to go here? So I think you're probably just looking on the edge. I'm going to go with Abdul Carter. Pretty similarly to James Pierce, he's an athletic freak, very fast, twitchy guy, a lot of bend, gets around the edge with speed. Another one of those athletes that you got to teach up and coach up a little bit. But he's a little bit shorter, but also bigger, 250 compared to James Pierce's around 230, 240. I think Carter's more ready now. But probably a lower ceiling, but also I think a higher floor for Abdul Carter. At 23 of the Chicago Bears. They played good football this year. They really have. I think you're probably looking to protect Caleb Williams. He's their quarterback of the future, and I think you're looking at a guy like Wyatt Milam to do that. He's played his way up into the first round this year. He's played absolutely incredible. Beginning of the year, you knew he was an NFL prospect, but you didn't really think he's going to be this good. Standing at 6'6", 317. Long arms, strong guy, moves his feet pretty well. I think he can be that anchor tackle for you over there in Chicago for a long time. The Ravens here at 24. I always think the Ravens could go with wide receiver. I always think that. But the Ravens they're so tough to draft because they do random stuff, in my opinion. They don't have a draft trend that I can really follow. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go best player available. And at this point, I think that's Mykel Williams out of Georgia. A very strong, productive edge rusher. Standing at about 6'5", 265. It's really big for the position there, especially in that defense. Mykel Williams is just a solid guy. Comes with a really good pass rush plan. Great movement with his hands. Doesn't have the bend and maybe the jump that some of these other edge rushers do, like Abdul Carter and James Pierce. But he's very solid at the position. Gets a lot of pressure with the quarterback. I like Mykel Williams. I think he fits well there for the Ravens. The Buffalo Bills. This is an easy wide receiver spot for me. Yes, I know. They took wide receiver last year. Well, actually, no. I just remembered they traded for Amari Cooper. We probably won't be doing wide receiver, will we? Let's look on the defense. Let's look on the linebacking core. I found my pick. I'm going to go with Harold Perkins Jr. Everyone's kind of forgetting about him, and I honestly almost forgot about him. I know he's a first-round guy still, but with the injury, he's not playing. A lot of people are forgetting about him. He's an athletic freak talent, super fast. He can play off ball. He can play in coverage, although not as well. He can play in coverage. He can tackle strong. He's a great blitzer, and he can play off the edge a little bit. He's got experience all over the front seven and a bunch of different sets and packages. I think the Bills just need to build up that linebacking core again. They lost Tremaine Edmonds. You got a guy who can play literally all over the linebacking spots and he can blitz, can play off the edge. Again, you can play him all over the place. I think Sean McDermott would love to have an athlete and a player as talented as Harold Perkins. At 26, the Washington Commanders. Who expected them to be in this spot? Not me. Let's get Jalen Daniels a weapon. looking at these guys, I think there's a very clear-cut guy who's going to go in this spot. Isaiah Bond, super fast, out of Texas, formerly out of Alabama. You got Terry McLaurin. Continue to get Jaden Daniels guys to throw to. That's how you build around your young quarterbacks. Protect them and give them people to throw to. And I think Bond just fits that mold with Jaden Daniels. Steelers at 27. This could also be a wide receiver spot. Hell, this could be a quarterback spot for all we really know. I might get crazy. Will I get crazy? Maybe I won't get crazy. It'd be crazy that we only had 2 quarterbacks go in this first round, but it's a realistic thing that could happen. It's a very realistic option here. But for the Steelers, I think I'm gonna default to the offensive line and go with tackle. I think it's gonna be Ariante Essery from Minnesota, a huge guy, very very strong, plays heavy feet sometimes, and that's gonna get him beat. Long arms, just a monster human. Got to play a little bit faster and play with a little bit better leverage and pad height. But he projects as a very good player out of Minnesota. I like Essery a lot. 6'6", 330. Huge. A lot of experience as well. Green Bay, I think they could also go with tackle. I think you could go with a number of positions here as well. I think I'm probably going to look on the defensive line for them. I think just beefing up that middle spot alongside Kenny Clark would make sense, and I think Deone Walker, if you're going to beef up the D-line, take Deone Walker. He's huge. Yeah, 6'6", 345. He's ridiculous. Great in the run game. He's going to take up space, take up blockers, stop the run. Doesn't offer a lot of pass rush juice, which could be a little bit of an issue, but I think that warrants enough to go in the back end of the first round. He's a very talented guy. For the Houston Texans, in my opinion, they're going to go interior offensive line, but I think it would be fun to also look at a potential running back for them. Ollie Gordon's played very bad this year. Kyle Monagai's played very good. Caleb Johnson's played very good. I'm quite a huge fan of Nicholas Singleton. I think Terrion Stewart will return to school, but I like him a lot. Cam Scatabo has played great this year. There's a lot of good running backs in this class. But are you really going to take any of these guys up here in the first, and who would that be? Probably Amari and Hampton or Quinshon Judkins. Make your pick. I prefer Amari and Hampton. And that is who I'm going to go. We get the Vikings here on the board. They also have running back lists as a need. I don't think you're going to go Quinshon Judkins here. You have J.J. McCarthy, who's going to take over for Sam Darnold eventually. Let's go in the secondary. Let's go in the back end and get a talented player like Kevin Winston Jr. I haven't gotten to Kevin Winston's tape yet, so I don't fully know much about him. But we can take a look. 6'2", 208, good size for a safety. From what I have heard from people that I trust in the industry so far, he's, again, another instinctual cover guy. Can struggle a bit tackling and a little bit slow to make reads on the offensive plays. That's what I've heard. I haven't watched yet. I will need to get to this tape. The lines is an easy interior offensive line spot for him. And in my opinion, the IOL1 in this class is Luke Kandra from Cincinnati. A big guy, solid in both the pass and the run game. He's not going to make many mistakes, and that warrants you be picked 31 with the Lions. On the last pick, the Kansas City Chiefs. You took Xavier Worthy last year. You traded for DeAndre Hopkins just last night as I'm filming this. So what do you do from here? You could maybe look at a developmental tight end like a Mason Taylor or Tyler Warren to potentially go after Travis Kelce. You look at a tackle. I think a Blake Miller would be good here. I quite like Holland Pierce from Rutgers. They're tough to pick for. They have running back lists as a need. Isaiah Pacheco is going to come back and he's going to play well. And they took Carson Steele last year late. If they're going to go running back, they're going to go later. You can never have too much edge help. It's probably a best player available situation here for them. And in that case, who is the best player available right now, though? That's the question. There's so many guys in this middle range right now. Is there someone that I really want to boost up? Yes, Kyle Kennard. He's played very well this year for South Carolina, really boosted himself into first-round potential conversations. I think that he has what it takes to be a first-round pick. Again, he played really well. I haven't gotten to his tape again, because that's all I really know. But Kennard, I think, for the Chiefs, 6'5", 255, can just add more edge pressure. Again, you know what I've said earlier, you can never have enough edge pressure on the quarterback for your defense. And for a Super Bowl competing team like the Chiefs, taking more edge rushers is always a good thing. So this is our final draft here. Only 2 quarterbacks going. G&T goes in the top 10. You see Harold Fanning get a boost up. Wyatt Milam into the first round. Harold Perkins falls to the Bills. And then Kyle Kennard is the last pick. Second running back is Amarian Hampton. And that leaves a lot of good players on the board, too. I mean, Nussmeier and Milroe are still on the board. Emeka Egbuka is still on the board. Dante Corleone is still on the board. You see a lot of guys who are just good players who are still there. But that is going to be the draft for this one. If you guys leave a comment, let me know who your favorite or least favorite pick is for this mock draft. I will read both least favorite and favorite. And also let me know who you want your team to draft. If there's any prospect that you want your team to get, anyone you really liked watching so far. Again, I will read and respond to all comments. But with that, leave a like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications because we will have more draft content as the season continues to go on. And I will see you all in the next video.